Christopher, thanks so much for joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at Handled?
Yeah, so I've been running Handled IT Partners for a number of years. We are an MSP, however, we definitely have certainly a high level of talent. We specialize in multiple service deliveries and roles. We have three types of clients, typically. Clients where we fully manage their environment, how it relates to infrastructure, operations, and security. And we have clients where we co-manage a portion of their IT, if they have IT in-house, as well as we have clients where we're 100% project-based, projects though that are more extensive. I would say a key differentiator from ourselves and our peers in the market or the space is that we do have a lot of talent on hand, especially as it comes to enterprise applications. And we get very close, very strategic with our clients and truly become an arm of their IT.
Yeah, that's a really good introduction. And it kind of preempts the next question, really, around how you would differ from a traditional MSP. And I think you touched upon that there, really, in that you do quite a lot of sort of project-based work and have got the sort of skills to sort of back that up, in addition to the traditional MSP, which is more fully managed. But then you also do the co-managed part as well, which is becoming a little bit more common. But I think that having a whole bunch of in-house skills for project work is becoming more and more unusual.
Yeah, it's very important for us to help executives or leadership team manage their IT in a way where they feel comfortable. One of the biggest call outs we hear is we don't know what we don't know. And so that's very important for us to help leadership get through answering those types of questions or even exploiting those questions so that they feel comfortable that their IT is being managed completely end to end. I would say, yeah, one of the key differentiators from us and our peers is that we do have people in our organization dedicated only to proactive services. People who are involved in the reactive day-to-day IT are firewalled off from everyone else. So that's how we're kind of unique in a way. So our posture is usually very mature.
Yeah, fascinating. And when you mentioned that kind of the executives you're working with don't know what they don't know, I mean, is there a kind of a more of an awareness in the marketplace of things around security, for example? I mean, do people know more than they did probably a few years ago, would you say?
People are more worried than they were a few years ago. Whether they're doing enough is still uncertain. We find that our clients or customers really need time with us. And so we make it a point to sit with them, discuss, strategize, and plan. We don't like being reactive. Reactive is strictly to the support desk and tickets. So I feel like nowadays people are having a really tough time shopping their IT. They're not really sure how much security to add. They kind of feel IT is a black box. So we're helping them through that journey of really understanding all the layers of IT and how to take the approach and feel that they're really handling it best practice and not going either overboard, but at the same time, meeting best practices.
So you mentioned there around the sort of different layers of services and securities and products and services that you offer. I mean, thinking specifically about JumpCloud, we're aware it's not a kind of the single definitive solution that MSPs would offer. So how does JumpCloud integrate with the other technologies that you help deliver to your clients?
Yeah, so for us, we don't like to implement any type of technology. All of our tools and stack have to go through an extensive process, validated from our CTO, and so we offer it. We do that for a couple of reasons. One, we want to make sure we're standardized across the board. Two, we want to make sure we're using the best of breed. And three, that our staff is really educated on how to manage them and to utilize them at their best capacities. So JumpCloud comes in for, typically we have a unique case. If a company has all Apple computers or has a large stake of Apple computers, and JumpCloud becomes a consideration, and even more so if they're using Google Workplace. We want to make sure that we have a true source for user directory, access and control, and we feel JumpCloud fills in the gap between our MDM, between user directory, between Mac. That way we have a nice ecosphere of username password synchronization across the board as well as oversight.
Yeah, and you mentioned Mac there. I mean, are you kind of how would you say this your sort of client base breaks down in terms of Mac, Windows, Linux, if any of that's there in sort of our operating system?
Yeah, so we support all operating systems. Though I will say we have half our user base is Apple computers. So we do have numerous clients that are Apple centric and don't want to get away from it. And then we have a lot of clients that are hybrid. So we like to give the option to our customers. But once Mac starts becoming prevalent, JumpCloud really comes in handy.
And are you seeing sort of the amount of Macs that your customers have got increasing? It just seems anecdotally there seems to be more and more Macs in the workspace now. Are you seeing that, or do you work with particular verticals that skew towards more Mac anyway?
It depends on the industry. You know, I don't want to be cliche and say creatives are using Macs. However, I would like to say young companies are using Macs. So just this week alone, dealing with 3 prospects, all 3 are 90% Mac based, and they heavily support remote work. So the more need for oversight, and so that the company still owns and has some level of control on their devices is important.
Yeah, and you mentioned remote work there. Is that obviously something that was accelerated across the entire industry during the pandemic? Are you still seeing a lot of remote work, or are people beginning to move back to the offices in your client base, or is it kind of a hybrid again of the two?
I would say we're still seeing a lot of remote work, and a lot of people are actually pushing more remote work. And of course, we do have some of the older traditional clients trying to have people come back to the office, but it's still very much hybrid. None of our clients have gone full-fledged mandatory.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of echoes what we've been hearing elsewhere. So you mentioned you're working with JumpCloud now with some of your clients, which is great. But how did you initially come to find JumpCloud? And was that initially to try and use it internally for your clients? I know you said you went through a kind of a comprehensive process before you bring on any new service. So, but what was the initial spark that led you to JumpCloud?
So we had a client who has a high need for security. Security is top of mind. They do a lot of high profile work, they deal with a lot of sensitive data, and they're in the realm of politics. Um, and with politics, there's a lot of competition, and there's a lot of fear of data being revealed before it's supposed to. So we wanted to make sure that we had a good level of control. Now, this organization grows very rapidly and changes in size throughout the seasons of the political, it's called the political seasons. So they are Mac based, and we noticed that they use Google Workplace. And one of the biggest challenges is always understanding the source of truth for user directory, as well as how do we manage all these endpoints and devices as we ship them out to staff across the United States or even the world. So we saw a really good use case there without having to implement an Active Directory, especially because the environment is all Apple. That being said, we noticed that ourselves fall in the same bucket as our client. So after vetting out JumpCloud, crossing our T's, dotting our I's, we then said to ourselves, if we're going to be selling this, we better have it implemented for ourselves and really see it through and test it out, which we did. And so ourselves too, being an MSP, we do have, a lot of us do have Macs, and we do use Google Workplace, a little bit unique. We like to have a little of all the best in breed technologies. So we have Microsoft, Google, Apple, and it's been working out great, and it's been working out great for our customer too.
Yeah, sounds fabulous, and that's good to know that you're using it internally. And I think that the use case that you mentioned, the sort of political thing around sort of the scale, the kind of rapidly changing user landscape that could go ramp up very quickly, and JumpCloud can help you sort of get them up and running, which is a nice use case. When it comes to the solution itself, I mean, do you use all of the JumpCloud solution, or are you using individual portions? And which parts do you generally always use? I mean, you mentioned the directory, but are you working with Radius or with the directory insights, or what are you working with?
Depending on the client and the maturity, we'll usually scale upwards. At a minimum, we are using the directory. We'll leverage SSO. We'll leverage the binding to the maps so that the username password synchronizes across many other applications. We'll leverage a bit of the MDM. And if the client is mature, or the client is willing to layer on security as their maturity grows, we start to leverage Radius and other pieces or components of the solution.
Okay, so it varies. So that's really cool. That's interesting to know. And you mentioned directory, and I think we spoke about Active Directory earlier, or Azure AD, or whatever. Have you got any examples where you're kind of integrating the two together, or you don't touch Active Directory at all?
Today we don't have an environment where we're integrating the two together, because we usually find that we have one or the other type of client. If the client has Active Directory, odds are they have some more complexities with servers on premise. And though they have Mac, we may not leverage JumpCloud to be the primary Active Directory there. However, for clients that are growing or rapidly changing or agile, that don't have on-premise servers, we start to leverage JumpCloud as the source of truth.
Great. And do you have any sort of specific sort of client wins or success stories where you think JumpCloud's sort of helped a particular client? I guess that it could come back to something you say about the political thing, where it helps them get up and running quickly, or any other examples where JumpCloud's helped.
I mean, it certainly has helped from an oversight and management perspective for our political clients, because they do grow rapidly and shrink and really need a level of oversight, especially for laptop replacements. For people that are out in the field, it's coming super handy. It's coming very handy for ourselves as well. We do feel with JumpCloud combined with the applications we have, that we really have a sense of control on onboarding and offboarding end users. I will say, with some of these new prospects that we're approaching, JumpCloud is going to be one of the main selling points, because they're frustrated with having Apple computers out in the field, not the proper MDM integration, users treating the computers as if they're personal computers. So they're excited to see how JumpCloud is going to change how that looks. We often showcase a lot of the SSO and the splash page, which tends to get clients excited to see all their applications in one window and the username password working across all of them. So I think those are just some examples that show the significance.
Yeah, great. And I think that SSO is, as you say, it's a really cool thing to be able to explain or show to a customer and say, you know, we can move towards sort of passwordless with JumpCloud Go, and then you've got access to all of these applications rather than having to remember a whole bunch of different unique usernames and passwords. So I think from a user adoption point of view, I think that's really good. And obviously, as I'm sure you're aware, it's important to bring the user with you along this journey, because they're the ones that have to deal with it day to day. So I think if the user's happy, then hopefully everyone's happy. That was really useful. Thanks. Thanks for your time. I'm just thinking, I guess you've got a busy year coming up on the political side. I guess this is, I'm hearing it's kind of an election year in the US, and I'm hearing it's all in the news over here in the UK. So I guess you'll be scaling up a lot of these user counts in the near future. So it's going to be a busy time for you.
Absolutely. We can have a client expand their support staff by almost 5x. So some of these clients can have 50 users throughout the year. And I would say by January, they'll have ramped up to 200, 250 employees.
Yeah, that's incredible. And hopefully that demonstrates the scalability of the platform that can allow you to do that in a really straightforward manner, rather than sort of having to spend an enormous amount of time on it. So it's a great use case. Thanks for sharing it with us. And yeah, thanks for your time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for your time.